How are we doing this evening? Eugene Boikai. Right on. We're CA squared here. Let me see a hand. Where is he? There he is. You'll hear that through our talk or our gathering. CA squared. It stands for Chris Anderson and Charles Anthony, and we squared it. Right, Chris? Remember that? Eugene, you're a phenomenal individual. It has been a pleasure knowing you and running the streets of Baltimore with you. You, me, and Chris, and Ray. Where's Ray? I thought I saw him here. 4 of us running around, you know, knocking doors, talking to people. That's what it's been all about. And we haven't had a lot of money to go with it, so I want everybody to give a generous check to Eugene Boikai. We'll put that in there for you, huh? Met Eugene, what, probably a year ago, maybe, at this point in time. And Eugene says, come on down to my place. Okay, no problem. How many of you been down to Eugene's house? Okay. And you're in for a treat. Eugene took me through his house and told me what he did. And I thought this was outstanding. The man took a shell of a house, or a shell of a building, built a layer, got some, and built that house. Now, he's got a home that cost him, what, under $5,000 for it. True? Huh? Buying it. Buying it. Done. It's done. He doesn't have any rent, nothing. The only thing he's got to do is pay the state, pay the city tax, and that's it. But can you imagine putting together a house for that amount of money and living the rest of your life? He doesn't have anything really to sweat about. I mean, I do. I mean, I still got a mortgage payment that I send out every month. so anyway, but it has been a pleasure. We had an opportunity to feed the neighborhood down there at Eugene's house. And people came out of everywhere. I mean, well, we must have had, what, 7,500 people there and passed through there all day long. We were there for, what, 4 hours? Yeah, I mean, it was wild. And people come up and talk to us, talk to several of his friends about what was going on. And one guy wanted to know about some financing stuff. And I happened to know what he was talking about, so I sat down and talked to him. But, you know, we just talked about a lot of things. And if you go down there to Eugene's house, you'll see he's got pictures of Trump. And I think you got 2 of yourself there, one on either side, but Trump's over the door, right? Yeah. Man, I'm telling you what, he puts it out there. And he walks the walk. Because Eugene will be out there, you know, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. It's bizarre. Well, the other morning he was out there, and lo and behold, he wasn't in the middle of that shootout. Oh, yeah. I said, what in the world? You know, and it actually was true. So he was down there, and I called him up. I said, Eugene, are you okay? Yeah, Charles, they didn't get me. I said, that's good, man. I don't want to break in a new partner, you know. So anyway, but I'm telling you what, getting to know the folks that are running for office here in Baltimore City has been phenomenal. And we've been here. I mean, I've been in and out of this city twice today. And, you know, it happens on a regular basis. People say, well, you're down in Silver Spring. I said, well, nobody ran against Sarbanes. You know, anybody in the state could have put their name against it, but they didn't. Man had a free ticket. So, you know, I started this off, this adventure off 3 years ago with $100. And people ask me, why'd you get started at your age? I said, well, that's a good question. I said, I was sitting there watching Trump's inaugural speech, the very first one. What were the 3 questions that he asked people to do? Number 1, the first one was stand up for your first responders and your military and applaud them, right? Democrats sat there in their white outfits and didn't do a thing. Then he said, stand up for this country of ours and applaud it because it's the greatest country on the earth. They didn't do anything. What was the 3rd question he asked? Does anybody remember the 3rd question? He said, I want you to stand up and applaud God. Because God was the foundation, religion was the foundation of this country. Because they kicked the Puritans out of the Europe, And they migrated through England, and then from England they continued the migration over here to the United States. So I want everybody to bless God, because if we didn't have a God in our life, we wouldn't have any blessings at all.
Amen.
And so the Democrats didn't do anything. And I jumped up out of that recliner I was in, and I said, man, if you can't stand up for God, you can't represent me. Well, there was Sarbanes right there in the picture. And I hadn't seen any pictures, so I knew who he was. And then all of a sudden, and I haven't told this story to many people, but there was a voice in my head, stand for me. And I looked around, my wife wasn't there. I said, you know, it was just me. And then I heard it again. It said, stand for me. He didn't tell me I was going to win, but God spoke to me twice, right then. He didn't tell me I was going to win. He didn't tell me to go out and be stupid and spend a bunch of money, mortgage the house. He didn't tell me any of that stuff. He just said, stand for me. And so I said, well, I don't know. So I talked to my wife, and I said, well, you know. So I waited a few days, and I called up the Republican Party. Patrick O'Keefe was the executive chairman at that point in time. I said, can you tell me if anybody's running against Sarbanes? I gave him a synopsis of the story, you know, the Reader's Digest version. He said, no, nobody at all. I said, really? When's the suspense date for the registration? And it was coming up, it was about 2 weeks away. So on the 14th of February, 3 years ago, I went down and signed up for $100 and got it. And I said, what do you do now? They said, that's up to you to figure out. So anyway, and everybody's going to run through it. So actually, there was, the first time I ran, there was actually 4 of us that were on the team. It was me, myself, and I, plus God. That was it. I didn't have anybody else. So I said, well, where do I get signs from? Call Brian Harlan. Okay. I called Brian. Well, where do I get palm cards from? Call Al Mendelson. Okay. So we got things going on. And that's exactly how we got started. And that brings us to where we are today. And I've shared a lot of this with Eugene. I've used contacts that I've made over the 3 years. And, you know, we've continued to march down the streets and knock the doors. Chris Anderson's been there. I mean, this is a lively group. There is a new wave coming. As a matter of fact, Corinne, I just now happen to see her. She did an interview with Johnny, myself, and Neil, wasn't it? Yep. And I made the comment about a red tide rising, and she said she was going to start using that. I said, well, go ahead. I don't have any legal rights to that terminology. But it is. I mean, I see it. You know, we were out knocking doors today, and we probably, it was myself, Giovanni, and William Hellman, and we probably hit 150 doors. And people are taking, who you running against? Mosby. Oh man, I want that card. You know, I'm gonna vote for you. Who you running against? I'm running against Sarbanes. Oh man, that guy's got to go. Yeah. You know, he and Daddy been around for 64 years. And Eugene's got the same thing down there in his district. You know, people are just taking these cards up left and right. Matter of fact, I had to call Charlotte here to ask her to bring some more cards tonight so I can go walk and door knock tomorrow. It is absolutely bizarre. So that brings us basically to where and how we got into this, and I am truly blessed to see what's going on in Baltimore. I mean, we got Kim. She is just shaking it all up there in Baltimore. I'm telling you what, the whole world is taking notice of what's going on in Baltimore because of Kim. There is no question about it. And Johnny's over in the second. He's rocking and rolling. And of course, we're knocking it out in the third. But Eugene has just been phenomenal. And I'm glad to call him a friend. I'm glad to walk the streets with him day and night, as we've been there. And it's just amazing. So if anybody's got any questions, you know, all of us will be here. We'll bear it all, whatever you want to hear. Don't want to hear maybe too much for you. I don't know, because we've seen a lot of things on the campaign trail. But anyway, I want to God bless Eugene. And we'll continue on, and it's Eugene Boikai. And don't forget, make it a big check.